Hey guys, I know it's been a really long time. Well, I know I've put out YouTube videos that are like practice videos, but I haven't made one where I just talk at you guys. So I'm still fasting off and on. That's a thing. Like daily. I still do at least daily fasting, sometimes a little bit longer. This is just an old picture of me so that you had something to look at while I talk. What I wanted to tell you about was how 2020, despite being a huge challenge for a lot of people, was actually one of the best years I've had personally. I do not want to downplay the challenges that the world has had, that communities have had, and especially that individuals have had. If you lost a job, or suffered through the illness, or lost a loved one, I am deeply, deeply sorry. That's all I have to say. I don't want to say any more words that might come across as insincere. I don't want to say the wrong thing either, so gonna move on a little bit. So this first photo is me. My boss took this screenshot while I was teaching on Zoom. My boss was super, super awesome. I teach at a little dance studio. It's actually not that little. I mean, like, the location is small. It's only 2 studios, and then there's another studio at a different location just a little ways away. But we have lots of kids, and we work really hard. And especially as things started shutting down, she worked her tail off to get us online under a week. As soon as things started shutting down, she had everything moved online, and I maybe lost 3 out of my 10 hours a week that I was working. So yeah, I lost some hours, but none of her employees lost employment. She was able to find something to do for all of us so she could keep paying us to do work, and we were able to keep enough of our students to be able to meet those payment demands. So she really did an incredible job. It's not fun teaching on Zoom. It's hard for little kids to pay attention. It was hard for me to pay attention when I took classes on Zoom. It's just hard to be as invested. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later though. But it really kept us all afloat until we were able to start coming back carefully and in a very planned way. And I'm really excited because in the next couple of weeks here in 2021, we are planning on loosening up our masking regulations just because of the number of children and instructors and whole families who have had the vaccination. So that's pretty cool. Last year I also got to foster a couple different times. So this is Charlie. He was obese and he had some really bad aggression and anxiety. So we kept Charlie at our house probably for 3 months, and he turned into such a sweetheart. I mean, I think he was always sweet underneath, but he had just come from some kind of environment where he didn't feel safe. I think a lot of his anxiety was separation anxiety. So I practiced leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back, just letting him know that he was never going to be always all alone. I was really happy to hand him over to his new family, the lady who's going to be his new mom. Well, I guess it's been a while, so he should be all settled in now. But she was actually a vet who had a lot of experience with obese cats. So while we got Charlie down from, I think, 14 pounds, he was big. I think we got a pound or 2 off of him, but it was nice to know that she was going to continue helping him improve his health and give him a place where he felt safe and loved. Okay, the next one is Fluffy, and the picture that you'll see after that is Binks, and I really fell in love with these guys. They kind of had the same issue. Really, really aggressive, anxious. One time I kind of wasn't paying attention, and I stomped across the room where we were keeping them, just in a hurry or something, and they had this weird reaction where they were trying to run away, but at the same time they were attacking. So I got these nasty scratches all up and down my leg and kind of learned, okay, can't stomp around these guys quite yet. I rarely get so attached to my fosters that I cry when they leave, but especially little Binks. It took me a long time. It took me probably 3 weeks before I could even touch him. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't come out of his little cave when I went upstairs, and I got to where I was giving him tummy rubs, and he would lay on my tummy, and we would just snuggle and snuggle. And gosh, I cried when he left. And then his new family was so kind. They let me come visit a couple times. Oh, Binks and Fluffy were siblings. Fluffy was great because I could play with him right away, and being able to play with him, I started out with a laser pointer. That helped Binks feel safe because he saw Fluffy running around playing. He would come out. He wouldn't come close to me at first, but Fluffy playing helped me get to Binks, and then we would just all snuggle. And then I've got to go visit them, and they're just in the best place imaginable. They are living with two girls who are just living together as roommates. These are their babies, so the house is set up to be a kitty cat paradise, and I'm so happy they ended up in a happy place. This is my nephew, Dane. He was born in July, really tiny here still, and this was really special for me because I got to be with his mom, my little sister, for a large part of her labor experience. So that was pretty cool for me. I'd never been around a woman in labor before, and for it to be my little sister, and for me to be one of the people. I mean, she had a midwife and a midwife assistant there. She labored in her home, and they showed me how to help her and how to support her, and that was just really special, really cool for me. Big group of people. My family went on this hike in the high Uintas in Utah, and this is pretty special because my family has been doing this since long before I was born. I'm a younger child in a large family. For us to be able to get together and for my siblings to actually bring their children on this hike, it was kind of historic for us. Loved every minute. And this is hardcore backpacking, really difficult trail. So traditionally we hike in about halfway. I'm sorry, I don't know how many miles it is, but took us a big chunk of the day. And then we have a little favorite camping site where we stop, and then we go on, and there's a part of the trail where we veer off, and there's not really a trail, but there's this lake. And I know other hikers have found it because we'd go there and we'd find logs and things chopped into furniture, and somebody left a metal grating for frying your fish, the fish you catch from the lake. So we go and we find this little spot, and we call it Ron's Lake after my uncle, who apparently discovered it on behalf of our family. I don't know what its real name is, but anyway, so that hike was really special. Okay, now we're getting into the dancing stuff. Thanks for listening a little bit to my personal journal there. So this is flooring for a dance floor. If you watched some of my early videos from when coronavirus was just getting going, putting out a bunch of tutorials. Some of them were for my own sanity. Some of them were specifically for my students. You see, I'm spending a lot of time at my church building on that bright yellow floor. And I just decided, I'm going to be dancing here a lot, and I want to expand what my little church dance group does. So this is the floor. That what you can see there is mostly, it's some kind of sound absorption material that I think goes in a wall or on the outside of a wall. But I layered it 3 deep. You'll see the video. Layer that down, and then and I'm sorry I don't know what that stuff is called. If you're really interested, let me know in the comments, and I can send you the Home Depot link to whatever that stuff is. And I mean, I would suggest it if you've got a space and you want to put down a dance floor. The floor on our stage is super hard. I was dancing in my tennis shoes to do jumps, and this stuff, it's not sprung. It doesn't feel like a springy floor, but it's definitely more cushioning, and it's safe to jump on now. The top layer is masonite. That stuff's hard, so it kind of protects the sound absorption material so it doesn't get dents or cracks in it from dancing. And then the vinyl that you see is not real marley, it's shower pan liner. I don't know if you look really closely, you can see the printing on the outside. It says like shower pan liner and has instructions for installation and stuff. I had that stuff first. You saw us rolling that up, and then sweeping, and then laying all the different layers down. One thing I found with this whole virus thing and the shutting down of a lot of the community classes I was used to was I really do love ballet a lot because I kept doing it on my own. Almost every day I was down in this church building doing a bar or doing conditioning exercises. I created a whole playlist that might be visible if you go to my YouTube homepage, a whole playlist of ballet workouts, and I would just work my way down that list almost every day, conditioning and class, and then get my point work online. I mean, all by myself without going to a class that I paid for. I wore out a couple different pairs of point shoes. I was doing some good work, I think. I think it was great. And it's really made me kind of take a little bit more responsibility for my dancing. I don't know, just being aware of, okay, I did class yesterday, but I skimped on bar. I need to make sure I do a really thorough bar today. Or, gee, I've been being lazy and putting off jumping. I need to jump. And, well, if I want to learn how to do fouette turns, I need to figure out what exercises to do and actually practice them. I can't wait and see whether or not the teacher is going to let us practice them at the end of class or something. I really had to take more responsibility. Oh, this is Penelope and me. She's one of my dancers, and she helped me put the floor down. She's helped me with a bunch of things. She's sewn costumes and danced in my shows and helped make headpieces, and she and her mom are really great. Anyway, so while I am sewing some romantic tutus, this is not a tutorial, by the way. These tutus did not turn out fabulous. They were fine. They looked fine, but they didn't flow very well. So don't take this as a tutorial on how to do them. I'm basically just figuring out how to do this as I go. But I spend a lot of time ramping up my little church dance group. So I kind of have two goals with this little group. I call it UWDE. That's University Ward Dance Ensemble. The LDS Church organizes groups of people by wards, so that's where the word ward comes from. My ward was organized next to the University of Utah, so it's University Ward, and then of course Dance Ensemble, so UWDE. My first goal was huge and maybe very unrealistic. Change the culture of dance in my faith, in my religion, for Mormons, for LDS people, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want dance to be part of worship, and I think that's something we could do. Other faiths do it, and the LDS people already really love music. We use that as a huge part of our worship. We do kind of have a very Puritan or Protestant fear of the body. We keep it covered up. Anytime I've done a performance in association with the church on whatever scale, my costuming has always been, they're just so cautious. I'll tell you about one show really fast. I had to wear a nude leotard and nude tights. On top of that, I wore black briefs and black tights, and on top of that was my costume. All these layers to make sure that no matter what, my body was thoroughly covered, and it was quite cumbersome. Towards the end of the run of that show, I gave up the underneath layers because it was just too much for a long show in a hot auditorium. It was just silly, and you know, I was dancing in all of that too, and I happened to be cast in a part where the character had a very heavy costume. So I, on top of that, had 2 or 3 layers of skirts and a huge bodice. It was just too many layers. And I got some looks from some of the other dancers who thought I was being so naughty, but goodness, I did not need all of those layers, especially for the style of dancing. It's not like I was kicking my heels up or anything. Anyway, so there's that. The first show I did with this group, UWDE, was done at a church party. So my audience was already assembled for me. People had come for the food. I think it was Christmas. Yeah, it was a Christmas party. All I had to do was open the stage curtain next to the little gym basketball area where all the food was being served and say, "Hi everyone, we're going to be dancing. If you would like to watch, you can." And then coronavirus happened. So the next spring, I had one couple of people. It was a married couple, and they had been coming to our practices. They were so dedicated, but they were both kind of beginning dancers. I think the wife had some dance in high school, and they worked so hard to put their piece together. But of course, all of our events were being canceled. So the spring University Ward Dance Ensemble concert happened online. I filmed them, and they just wore like black clothing. I think you can find that video if you really want to. I really love these two. I don't want to talk too much about their names or anything, but I just want to say, if you're watching this video, thank you so much. You kept my head above water as far as making this project happen. So we had that Christmas concert, and then our spring concert happened online, and I really wanted to do another Christmas concert, but I just didn't know how it was going to happen in the December of the coronavirus. I gathered up my people, and here's the other thing. After everything kind of got shut down, I didn't get participation from my church group, from my ward. And, you know, I get why people had so many other things they were dealing with. But I have a handful of dancer friends who are like me. We're older, maybe our bodies aren't perfect, maybe we aren't able to go to class every day. One of my dancers kind of got really burned out at her dance school. I think she was dancing 6 days a week, working really, really hard. She still loves ballet and dancing, but that caliber of it was not working for her anymore. So I gathered up a couple of these people, my little sister recovering from her first child. We put on a Christmas show, and then a friend of mine has a small studio with a couple of students, and I welcomed her using that show as an opportunity to kind of be a culmination of their work for the year. That was really cool as well. I'll put up one long video of the show and then a couple of little clips of that here on YouTube. But that has been my big project lately, getting that off the ground. So the Christmas concert, those are already up. You'll have seen those on YouTube if you follow me at all. And I'm working on it. I wanted to get this video done first, but I'll be putting up a bunch of short videos of our spring Baroque concert. I'm really proud of how that one happened. I had a handful of people who all just worked so hard and were so diligent, and we had 44 people show up in person. Wow! And then another, I think it ended up being 16 people who stuck around on Zoom for the whole thing. So not bad for an amateur all-volunteer group. I think only in its second year, and that's also, second year of the coronavirus. I think we did a pretty good job if audience attendance is any measure of success for a dance group. That's my big project right now. I'm kind of letting my dancewear business, Cheval Dancewear, I'm going to let that rest for a little while. If someone messages me and wants to order something, I will sew it up for them. I'm just going to be backing off on that a little bit. I've got a lot of my own dancing to do. I'm still playing the piano for ballet classes. Summer intensives are coming up, and I have 2 big dance schools who want me to play 5 hours a day for 5 weeks straight. So I'm going to have to figure out my scheduling there. I'm just going to end this with a little clip of my friend Daryl Ann. I call her one of my principal ballerinas. She worked really hard on her choreography, getting her point work up to par, I guess. I mean, I think she's beautiful, but she was working really hard on her point work. And then I'll throw on part of my little solo. What's more interesting about my solo than my dancing and my choreography, neither of those are really special. I was so privileged to have my sister-in-law come play the violin. And I can't tell you what a joy that was to have live music. I really tried to get as much live music as I could for this last show. I really hope to keep doing that in the future. Oh, what a pleasure. And she's a brilliant violinist, to be able to dance to live music, and especially to Bach. So I will end with those 2 videos. I don't know, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I've always said about this channel, I don't really know where it's going. It's just me kind of talking to the universe sometimes. Yeah, I'd love to come up with some kind of theme and have a logo and a set format, and then have a bunch of videos people can binge watch, and then I can monetize. But I mean, that takes work. I admire successful YouTubers. They're hard workers, and I don't have a team behind me like a lot of them do. You guys are great. Happy dancing, happy fasting. I wish you all the best. Just keep your chin up, even though politics are crazy right now. The whole thing around the virus is still crazy right now. You can do it. Keep your chin up. There's always something to be happy about.